You are listening to the Home Service Business Success Show. We have been accelerating the path of success for home service companies since 2011.
Everything ties together. That's why it's called efficiency.
Ask the question, could this become more efficient?
Oh man, I guess I did say that, didn't I?
And when we can teach our team to think in terms of efficiency, the game starts to change.
Is that a Southern thing? I need you to go on, get gone. I think that might be.
Yeah, I need you to get gone. Hey,
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Home Service Business Success Show. Kenny Chapman with Chris Crew. What's happening, man?
Hey, man, I am living life, enjoying, what is it they say? I'm living my best life. How about that?
I'm living my best life. That's right. There's a song about that. As a matter of fact, my walk-up song at Blue Collar's Acceleration Days has something to do with that. And then there's something about I'm sleeping with my best friend, or which that's the lovely Christy. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with that. So
I don't know. I didn't know what podcast we were doing here. Do I need to go change shirts here? I wasn't.
So here, yeah. Don't hang up or don't cut us off yet. And editors, don't cut that shit. This is just raw and real, and this is how we go. So we're talking.
Hang on, wait. Before we get going, I'm going to remind you of our preview episode. You said it's going to be like the Kelsey twins meets Joe Rogan. And sometimes there might be some spiritual stuff in here. And if you don't like it, you can just hang us a bird.
Oh, man, I guess I did say that, didn't I? And I think we've probably got a mix of that. And ladies and gentlemen, the only thing we know how to do is a mix of Kenny Chapman and Chris Crew. And I hope that's what you're showing up for, because that's what you're going to get today. And today, we're going to do another episode on profitability, and today we're going to kind of come from that angle. Let's say we've got our pricing set, we've looked at our key categories, Chris, and now we really want to just look at, man, how do we optimize? How do we boost that efficiency? This is such, I love that cliche statement, little hinges swing big doors. And efficiency is that little hinge that makes a huge difference in profitability.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably start, and maybe that might be a good. Could we? I'm just going to do a one step to the diving board, and then I'm just going to go head first, if that's okay.
Go for it.
I think it starts with looking at an operation, Kenny, and this is where the owner and operator really, really can start to fine tune what they're doing, is start by mapping out their workflows let's go prior to the phone ringing, right? What are all the setup things that have to happen? Like, think about things like, how do technicians get their material back to them? Well, they come to the shop, Chris. Is there a more efficient way? Like, and don't get in the weeds. Here's what I'm saying. Let me get back. I was at the springboard and I stopped and backed up. So let me.
Oh, you didn't get one jump? You are. Wait a minute. You're scared of heights too. This isn't. Is this the high dive or is this the low dive?
Oh, that's the crazy part. We're high diving on this one.
All right, game on, brother. Bring it.
Start by mapping out your sequences and your operations. And then when you look at them, examine them, and then ask the question. In a crazy world, don't think of how, but ask the question, could this become more efficient? Because I think that's where it starts, Kenny, is asking that question. Yes. Could this become more efficient?
Yes. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, write that down. Could this become more efficient? And I want you to make sure that you don't answer the how. When you said that, Chris, that's so powerful, because as much as I study the human brain, the subconscious is going to jump in and justify why we do it the way we do it without you even realizing it, because it's a subconscious auto response. And so when I just say, could we make this more efficient? I'm leaving the field open to, well, maybe. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know when, I don't know who, perhaps, but it could be. And if it could be, then now it's that whole, so you're saying there's a chance, right? Instead of, well, the ego wants to go, well, if it could be more efficient, we'd already be doing it that way. Then we go to that that horrific statement that we've all said of, Well, why do you do that? Because we've always done it that way. And it's
Mhm.
just, that's the sure sale time of a failing business that just hasn't shown up as failed yet.
Yeah, so true. It's funny. This thing what this does is, um, I want to open the mind of our listeners and those that are consuming the podcast. I just want to start with getting your mind to open for a minute of
Yeah.
what could be possible, and then I'd like to introduce the concept of the could we run leaner concept. If we now, because that could we run leaner doesn't mean cut expenses. We talked in a previous episode of cutting, right? This is not, and I didn't say cut, I just said leaner. In other
Mhm.
words, do we have team members today that we've not fully leveraged them in their full capacities, right?
Yes.
Like when I see things, and Kenny, let's just go to the easy ones, right? The really easy ones. The most inefficient that I see is field based stuff. I see a lot of inefficiencies in the field. And if we don't teach our team how to do these things, they're not revolutionary, by the way. Don't think you're going to leave this episode and be like, yes. And these will cost you no more money. Teaching your team what happens beyond the sale. After the customer signs and says, yep, let's get started. Technicians, and Kenny, I'll walk through because I'll talk about some inefficiencies as I talk about the efficiency component. When a technician sells a job, their job is to go to the truck immediately, get your tools, and put your hands on every single part that you know you're going to use. Put your hands on it, pull it off the truck,
Yes.
gather it, collect it, and get all that stuff into the house. I always taught my guys, never make a trip to the truck without having something in your hand. That was my rule of thumb. Have something in your hand, whether I'm taking garbage back or, hey, I got to go get that other part. Look around. Is there something in here that would save me time to take it back to the truck because I'm done? And when we can teach our team to think in terms of efficiency, the game starts to change. However, Kenny, here's what happens, right? The average technician, they sell the job, they get some of their parts, and then they realize halfway through the job, oh, I don't have a fill in the blank gadget or widget. I got to go get one. So now that job is setting on hold while they're doing that. Versus in my business, sell the job, put your hands on the material, and as soon as you know, oh, I don't have XYZ, let my material person know so we can source it and get it to you as efficiently as possible. Because remember, time is ticking on that job. And that's where inefficiencies start to come in, is nobody is thinking in those efficient manners.
Yes. And those are the little things that really add up though, and they compound. We all understand compounding interest. And I
Mhm.
think that when you realize, and we're going to keep this episode pretty short and direct and to the point, and I think that what the takeaway we want you to go run with is the fact that there are areas that you can shore up.
Yeah.
And when you shift kind of the lenses, and I think about, how you look at the business, we all know that, what the eyes see and what the ears hear are only what the brain is looking for. And when I decide that I'm looking for efficiency improvements or inefficiencies, however you want to call it, they'll start to show up for me. And I think that, there's an identity shift that continues to happen until you drop all identity. And I won't get into that because we talked about the spiritual concept earlier. But as your identity is progressing as an operator or wherever you are in the business, for me, I started as a drain cleaner. And I thought, okay, I come from a drain cleaner perspective. And then I hired a master plumber and I went, well, now we're a full service plumbing company. So now I'm looking as a plumber. And then I kind of advanced and yeah, we got into HVAC. I bought a couple companies and now I'm kind of a service business lens. And then I kind of progress and start going, well, now I'm coming from my operator DNA and I'm looking as an operator lens. And then you start getting a little more granular and go, but really what I am is an efficiency expert. And when you really start leaning into what those are, and obviously from there's many categories that I've gone through, visionary and all the different things. But I think when we really take responsibility for a streamlined operation. The most profitable operations are very lean and very streamlined. And when you're lean and streamlined, your team can make a lot of money, your customers don't have to overpay, and there's a lot of profit at the bottom of the bottom line. And so that allows a lot of flexibility in all these different components of the business, but it takes your focus first.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's another one, Kenny. And it's like, once again, I'm going back to my days of operating, and it's like things that I thought should be common sense for people wasn't so common. And instead of getting mad about it, I just fixed it. Example, in that same scenario, I sell a job, I need material, and watch this. My electricians would have an apprentice with them, and parts needed to be picked up at the supply house. Guess who would go pick them up? The most expensive person that I've got would drive and leave the apprentice there because that was the easy thing to do. And I'm like, nope. Apprentices are the lowest cost of labor.
Yeah.
And my lead man or journeyman or electrician or whatever your trade is has the ability to generate more output there. So the most efficient thing to do in that scenario, if someone's got to go get it, is send the least cost to go get that. Don't send the most cost to go get that. And so that sounds silly, Kenny. Happens all the time in businesses. I see it all the time. Think about this. Shop time. If you calculated shop time and looked at it, I had a hell of a time, Kenny, in my business on wash day. People would come in, and because I paid performance-based pay, they weren't paid by the hour. So in their mind, I'm not on the clock. And I'm like, you're not getting paid, but we're calculating what's going on right now into our cost of doing business, which means you're shrinking the amount of hours that we have to cover our cost by hanging around the office. I need you to get gone.
Yes.
And that was on wash day. They like to hang around and chat, and I'd have technicians not leaving the office till 8:15, 8:30. We should be on a job by now. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Is that a Southern thing? Go, I need you to go on, get gone. I think that might.
Yeah, I need you to get gone. We were talking about some of those Southern things before we hopped on the podcast, in which I'll keep it very politically correct and not use them. But get gone, yeah, it's probably a Southern
We're going to
thing.
be as efficient as possible. You need to go on and get gone. I think that's it.
Get gone. Get out of here.
But I think you bring a very, very valid point. As you know, we just want you, as the listener and as the watcher and the follower of the podcast, to focus each and every week just on something that reminds. Here's the deal. There's no groundbreaking, earth-shattering information. You've got ChatGPT. You've got information everywhere. What we're trying to do is get you to take action on the things that you already know and remind you of the things that you have forgotten that you already know, which is efficiency drives profitability and how you manage those different types of things. And I joke about the get gone statement, but how Chris goes about that is very meaningful about how he goes out and just, if he's out there, like my drill instructor days of, I was not a drill instructor. That reminds me of the episode where I said my NBA sons or whatever I said. And you had to, let's be clear, Kenny does not have any sons in the NBA.
Except my son in the NBA.
That's right. That would be my Phoenix Suns. But if you're out there beating on a trash can like my drill instructor did when I was in the Army, which is now probably illegal or whatever, but you're going to have a very different response and a very different feeling than, hey, come on, guys, let's get rolling. We got, and that goes back to how you handle your goal boards and how you post efficiencies, and everything ties together. That's why it's called efficiency, because one thing ties to another thing, ties to another thing. And the next thing you know, you've got a healthy bottom line.
20 years ago, Kenny. 20 years ago, I was tracking as a service tech my billable hour efficiency, my own personal one, not the company, my personal. Yeah. I worked this many hours. I was on site this many hours, and we were measured by our billable hour efficiency. I'm going to say this to service business owners today. Sometimes you just got to get back to the basics, and maybe maybe there needs to be some tracking in place on top of average tickets and all these other things that we're tracking is billable hour efficiency. My dear friend Tim McGuire told me it's one of the linchpins to profitability.
Mm-hmm. And he ran an incredibly profitable business and still does to this day. And I just think that, it's such a great reminder of how you said that. Get back to the basics. It's about fundamentals. There's a lot of bells and whistles. There's a lot of different things out there. There's a lot of read this, do that, get priced correctly, pay attention to where you're investing in your income statement, and be as efficient as you possibly can. And you're going to enjoy the fruits of your labor as a profitable company. Chris, another episode on profitability. We wanted to keep this one short, sweet, quick. Go get it, ladies and gentlemen. Go do it. Share this episode, share the podcast. We want to just keep on helping and serving and giving back to this great industry that's been so great to us. Chris, any final words as we roll today?
Let's go get that cabbage.
Let's go get that cabbage, ladies and gentlemen. Until we talk, make it a better than fantastic week. Thanks, everybody.